Happy Friday, everybody. All right. Welcome to the Mikestand. Today is, of course, Friday, um, January the 24th, 2025. Um, Hopefully, everybody's had a good week this week. We're going to be, of course, we're going to give people a chance to come in before we get started. Did see some interesting cartoons today. As you know, I'll talk a little bit about watching earlier today. Um, let's see. And I was, of course, saw like Betty Boop, some Scrappy, um, Pooch the Pup, quite a few interesting cartoons. Even a Mickey Mouse cartoon, probably one of the more controversial Mickey Mouse cartoons, as you know, as it was Mickey's Melodrama, which was the one where Mickey and crew were doing doing like a dramatic um basically like they were doing a dramatic run of Harriet, a stage production of Harriet Beecher Stowe's Uncle Tom Cabin, and of course led into some of the racial stereotypes um, that are now considered pretty taboo. Hey, Natsumi. Hello. Hey. Of course, a friendly reminder to everybody, if you guys can help out by liking and sharing the stream, see if we can get more people in here more friendly people in here to engage. That'd be appreciated. Also, if anything here grabs your attention, feel free to comment and or ask questions, and I'll try to answer the question to the best of my ability. Well, with that, let's see, now we do seem to have somebody in here, so I guess I'll talk about what's on tap for tonight. So we got a couple of articles we're going to go over tonight. First one is talking about how I guess Marvel was considering turning Daredevil into an out and out villain to spite Fox, who apparently had the media rights to Daredevil. That I believe means, the rights to distribute Daredevil, the TV shows and movies of Daredevil, because I guess they're having some issues with that. And then, of course, an story I was going to try to do last night, but because of the fact we went pretty long with the Neil Gaiman story, um, we're going to do it tonight, which is talking about the history of how fans have found themselves, or the audience members have found themselves in some Looney Tunes shorts. So we're going to look at that as well. Also, of course, we'll have the wrestling wrap up, and then the this day niche history segments. So, with all that being said, why don't we go ahead and get started then, as we're coming up on the 4 minute mark. Let me just pull up the first story here from Bounding into Comics. Um, with that, so here's the first story we're going to go over tonight. It's a comics related story, as it were. And again, feel free to comment and or ask questions. I'll try to answer the questions to the best of my ability. So, Marvel Comics executive editor, reveals publisher almost turned Daredevil into, quote, an out and out villain, unquote, in order to spite Fox over Hornhead's media rights. Article by Spencer McCulley, published back on January 21st, which, of course, was this past Tuesday. Well, let's get into this. In a near perfect example of just how petty the entertainment industry can be, Marvel Comics executive editor Tom Brevoort has revealed that during the brief period of time at the beginning of the Marvel Cinematic Universe, when Fox still owned the man without fears media rights, a desire to trip up the competition and support their own quote unquote home team, led the publisher to seriously consider the idea of turning Daredevil into a full blown villain. Basically, I think what he's talking about is, aside from Daredevil, most of I think at that point when they were starting up the Marvel Cinematic Universe, Disney was the one who probably, I believe, had had the rights to most of the Marvel Comics characters. Daredevil was probably the only one, or one of the few, that was not controlled by Disney. So that's probably what he's getting at there. Let's see. Braveheart, as per usual, provided this new, albeit unsurprising, insight into Marvel history while answering fan questions for the January 19th entry of his weekly Substack blog, Man with a Hat. Pressed by a fan on whether or not it was possible that comic book fans, quote, could ever see an accepted hero turn bad, that wasn't just designed as a temporary change in personality or exposure to element X or being possessed by a noxious cloud of fear. So what this fan wanted to know is, could a longtime hero actually turn evil, legitimately turn evil? I think that's what he was basically asked, unquote. The Marvel Comics editor opined, quote, yes, I think it could be done, but it requires an extraordinary amount of commitment, more than we typically have, because every character is somebody's favorite. And having a hero take a turn to the dark side is always something the fans of that character will want to see overturned. Yeah, because nobody wants to see their hero made into the bad guy. Excuse me there. Anyways, yeah, because nobody wants to see their favorite character become the bad guy. You know, you live and die with these characters, right? So, anyways, continuing on here, quote, just look at how many different creators over the years have attempted unsuccessfully, as it turns out, in parentheses there, to redeem Hank Pym after he struck his wife Janet, unquote. He added, quote, in that story, writer Jim Shooter was trying to chart the course of a hero going legitimately bad. But that course was reversed even before the story was completed. And so creators still try to take back the bad stuff the character did in those setup stories. So they show it right there, what they were talking about. And it was on the topic of such attempted superhero heel turns that Braveheart confirmed that one such twist was at one point planned for old Hornhead. I guess his nickname for I guess the nickname for Daredevil, as it were. Matt Murdock. Moving to raise a more recent example of this phenomena, the editor, then now that quote, a decade plus back when we were working on the Shadowland crossover, there was a real push internally to make Daredevil an out-and-out villain, unquote. Quote, at the time, Fox controlled the media rights to the character, and it didn't seem like they'd be coming back anytime soon. And there was an interest in beginning to build up Moon Knight as a similar player that could be exploited across other media, unquote, he explained. Quote, the Daredevil editor of the period, Stephen Wacker, had to work very carefully and very quietly to prevent Matt Murdock, from crossing any lines of no return in that story. Drawing his recollection to a close, Brevoort asserted, quote, and it's a good thing that he did, because only a couple years later, those rights did come back to Marvel, and we wound up doing 3 seasons of a television series plus Defenders, in parentheses there. Quote, and so, unquote, he concluded, quote, had we gone for it during Shadowland, we would have had a lot more work cut out for us in suddenly needing to redeem Matt so that he could be a headliner again, unquote. So basically, it's like sometimes being patient has its value, right? Sometimes if you just wait things out, sometimes things will work out in your favor if you just have a little patience. Uh, Anyways, as we continue on here, primarily penned by noted industry writer Andy Diggle, the Shadowland event was a 2010 crossover event that saw the more experienced of Marvel street level heroes such as Luke Cage, Iron Fist, Moon Knight, and Spider-Man teaming together to stop Daredevil, who had taken over the group of ninja assassins known as the Hand and established their new Iron Fortress right in the heart of Hell's Kitchen. Now, Hell's Kitchen, for those of you who don't know, is a section of New York City that where is said to be, and I think it's actually a real place. It's not just in the comics. I think it's a legit place, but it's one of the worst off areas of New York City. It's kind of like where the criminal element is the highest. It's just the nastiest of places. So, as noted by Brevoort, the event featured all the markings of a, in smaller quotes, permanent evil daredevil, on smaller quote, even beginning with Matt Murdock killing Bullseye out of revenge for a multi-fatality rampage the villain committed through Hell's Kitchen during his time as Hawkeye, quote unquote, on Norman Osborn's Dark Avengers. However, it's admittingly a bit curious that Brevoort frames Wacker's work in making sure that Daredevil wasn't, quote, crossing any lines of no return, unquote, as a sly and subtle reference, subtle effort, as in reality, the entire event, including the hero's more murderous actions, were ultimately revealed to be the result of his possession by the Hand's patron demon, the Beast. And really, it doesn't take that much effort to hand wave everything bad that a hero does by blaming it on mind control. Yeah, that is a classic move. That is a classic move. Well, no, the hero didn't actually turn evil. He was just possessed, or he was just mind controlled into doing evil. But that almost gives off the impression that the hero is just so weak mind and weak willed that he couldn't resist being controlled either. So there's that element too to it. But regardless, at the end of the day, the media rights to the Devil of Hell's Kitchen eventually returned to Disney, who then partnered with Netflix to give Daredevil fans 3 of the best television seasons ever put into production, as well as a damn fun crossover in Defenders. Sadly, it seems the hero's luck has since run out, as following the collapse of Disney and Netflix's Marvel television deal, the MCU incarnation of Daredevil has been relegated to nothing more but cameo roles, which themselves have ranged from the good in Spider-Man No Way Home to the bad in Echo and the ugly in She-Hulk Attorney at Law. Uh, Yet a red lining still exists on the horizon for fans of Charlie Cox's take on Matt Murdock as Daredevil Born Again, which will be the first Marvel Studios television would be the first of Marvel Studios television projects to be produced following their recent turn back to hiring actual writers and showrunners, is currently set to hit Disney Plus on March 4th. Whether or not it actually turns out to be good remains to be seen. But hey, it's bringing back Wilson Bethel as Bullseye. So here's hoping. All right, so there we go with that. There we go with that article. So now we'll get ready to move on to the next article. Then we'll head over to MeTV Tunes to get to the other article we're going to do tonight, which is revolving around Looney Tunes. This one, which I was going to originally do last night, but I said because of time constraints, I chose to push it back to tonight. All right, so let's get into this one then. Every time audience members made an appearance in Looney Tunes, why were they always yelling at the audience? Well, of course, in many of those Golden Age shorts, there was always a kick to the idea of breaking that fourth wall, right? Of crossing that barrier between film and the real world, right? So that was kind of what that was. So article published yesterday, January 23rd, 2025, by MeTV Toon staff. There's, of course, an early version of Elmer Fudd, I believe, right there. All right, so before the age of television and home screens, most Looney Tunes and Merry Melodies cartoons were viewed in theaters, which is true. They were usually viewed as part of kind of the icebreaker portion of movie going. When people are coming in and getting settled in before they actually get to the feature presentation, they would usually have they'd have a cartoon, a travel log, and a newsreel for people to watch as they were settling in. Usually, starting up half hour or so before the feature presentation, I think. So, but in fact, they were created with the intention and expectation that they would be seen in a theater. So as the series grew in popularity, they threw in some gags that called out the audience. Some of these moments involved a shadowy, quote, audience member, unquote, standing up and getting out of their seat, a huge theater no-no, because standing up during the film blocked the projector and part of the screen. Which, if you go back over here, they see right there. That's the thing they're talking about. You try not to do that if you can. You know, that's generally the idea. But anyways, the Termite Terrace animators enjoyed using their characters to call out badly behaved audience members who were blocking the screen and coughing it too loudly. But these call out moments also led to other fun moments with the shadowy figures, including quote unquote hiding cartoon characters in the audience for the characters on screen to identify. The shadowy audience member created new opportunities to take the audience by surprise and build on already funny moments while also keeping the audience on their best behavior. Let's take a look at all of the audience member moments in Looney Tunes and Merry Melodies. Hmm. All right, so here we go with the first example here. The first example here of what they're talking about is Little Red Walking Hood, 1937. Now this is from so the short. This short is one of Elmer Fudd's first cartoons, and it's a Merry Melodies retelling of Little Red Riding Hood. The short follows the traditional fairy tale until two shadowy figures appear in the corner. You see right there at the bottom of the little screen snippet there. Um, Here and here looks, from what I can tell, looks like a man and a woman there from the looks of it. But, let's see. The wolf even says through gritted teeth, in quote here, "Hey, Red, just a minute. Let's wait until these people are here get seated, and we'll go on with this thing." Unquote. Once the audience members finish walking across the screen and sit down, the wolf and Red Walking Hood resume their fight. This moment was a clear call out of bad audience etiquette, perhaps the most tame call out of the list. and you and when we of course when sites like when channels like um Me TV Tunes and in the past Boomerang and some of these classic channels um, show these. It's funny to look back on some of this stuff now as well, um, with all that in mind. So, best invitation ever. Well, thank you. If that was meant at me there. Well, thank you for that. That's right. Cinderella meets Fella, 1938, number two here. There's another example of an early Elmer Fudd design right there. So another Merry Melodies fairy tale retelling featuring Elmer Fudd as Prince Charming. He gets to Cinderella's house, and she left a note saying she got tired of waiting and went to see a Warner Bros. Show instead. Elmer starts crying when a girl stands up in the audience and says, quote, "Here I am. Here I am in the guest row. Keep your shirt on. I'll be right up." Unquote. And then Cinderella walks across the screen and then onto the screen, reunited with her prince. Now that obviously I don't think was considered a call out to bad behavior. That was just a funny moment there. That's just kind of a cute, funny moment right there. Anyways, getting ready to move on to number 3 here. Let's see, number 3, the Maestro play from 1938. This Merry Melodies short is about the wacky hijinks that laboratory mice get up to when the scientists are good. Now, this is long before Pinky and the Brain, obviously. Long before Pinky and the Brain of Animaniacs fame and their own show, of course. When the scientists are gone, a group of mice sneak up on another mouse and try to stab him with a syringe when an audience member jumps up and screams, quote, "Don't do that!" unquote. The mice hear them and drop the syringe, saying, quote, we never have any fun, unquote. This moment was less about theater etiquette and more about taking the audience by surprise and including their voice in the short. Yeah, but also I could see that being kind of, granted, sometimes people can, they can get so into the movie they'll like react and say, "Don't do that," and because if somebody was to actually do that, react, first off, obviously the people on the screen would actually not hear you. And then you'd probably have a bunch of like popcorn and soda and all that being thrown at you. Sit down, you jerk! Sit down! Sit your butt down, you dummy! What? Are you freaking crazy, dude? Let's see. Let's see now. Daffy Duck and Egghead, 1938. Number 4 here. This moment was 100% about audience etiquette. Egghead is hunting ducks when an audience member stands up and tries to move across the screen, prompting Egghead to say, quote, sit down. There's a duck in there. Sit down." Unquote. Audience member sits down and then gets up and tries again, bringing a third shushing and admonishment from Egghead. On the third attempt, Egghead shoots the audience member dead. Oh boy. Oh. Number 5, Cracked Ice, 1938. This Merry Melody short is about an ice skating competition where a pig, Mr. Squeal, falls down. While we don't see a mystery audience member walking across the screen, we hear them loudly laughing. Mr. Squeal gets back up and says, quote, "Say, who's heckling me? So it's you, my diminutive little child. What are you doing down there in the third row?" Unquote. This audience call out was meant to catch the audience off guard and take them by surprise, ensuring even more laughs. Number 6, A Feud There Was, 1938. So thus far we've had one short from 1937, the rest from 1938 here. This Hatfields and McCoys themed Merry Melody. For those of you who may not know that reference, the Hatfields and McCoys was I believe it was a short. I think it was a novel or something like that. It was based on kind of a hillbilly feud in Kentucky in the Kentucky Tennessee area. The Appalachian Mountains, I believe. Let's see. Where Elmer Fudd is called in as a peacekeeper to broker a truce between the two warring factions. One of the shooting hillbillies shouts, quote, "I'll sworn them no good weavers. I hate them to pieces. Is there a weaver in the audience?" Unquote. To which an audience member stands up in the corner. Yeah, pretty much a great idea to do that. And shouts that, quote, "Yeah, you skunk," unquote, and shoots the hillbilly. The Weaver audience member returns at the end to shoot at Elmer Fudd. Okay. I do need to step away from the computer for a moment, so I'm going to put some music on for a moment while I'm away. I'll be right back. Step away though for a moment. I'll be right back. Right, sorry about that. I'm back now. Let me just do something real quick here to see if we can't get some more people to come in here. Just trying to see if we can't stir up a few more viewers here. All right, so with that, I had to get back to the article then. All right, so moving on to number 7 here, of when audience members um, were got involved in the action here. The Looney Tunes. Number 7 here, Thugs with Dirty Mugs from 1939. Gang leader Killer Diller leads a round of bank robberies, um, while the gang meets an audience member. While the gang meets, an audience member gets up to leave. Killer spots them and says, "Quote: Where do you think you're going? Where do you think you're going? Well, you sit right back down until this thing's over. See?" Then he whispers to his cronies, quote, that mug's trying to get out of the theater to squeal to the cops. Unquote. Well, wouldn't you know that the next scene is in a police station and the same audience member jumps up and tells the investigator Killer Diller's plans. The investigator responds, quote, "Thanks, you little tattletale," unquote. You little tattletale. Anyways, so number 8, Rhapsody Rabbit, 1946. Let's see if anybody's come in to say hi. All right. Again, if you guys haven't already, you guys can help out by liking and sharing the stream. See if we can get some more friendly people in here to engage. That'd be appreciated. Also, if anything here grabs your attention, feel free to comment and or ask questions. I'll try to answer the questions to the best of my ability. That, of course, being said, let's go ahead and continue on here. Then there was a break in audience member involvement. There were still plenty of fourth wall breaks, parentheses, especially from Bugs looking at the audience and saying, quote, "Ain't I a little stinker?" Unquote, and unparenthesed. But there were not as many calling out the audience moments in Looney Tunes or Merry Melodies. That was until Rhapsody Rabbit, where an audience member loudly coughed as Bugs was going to begin his piano performance. Without a word, Bugs stands up, pulls out a gun, and shoots the coughing audience member, and then continues with the performance like nothing happened. And look at Bugs' face right there. He does not look happy. He does not look happy at all. All right, number 9, Rabbit Every Monday, 1951. Bugs Bunny is roasting carrots, and the smell is so delicious that it attracts Yosemite Sam, who is hunting rabbits. An audience member gets up, and Yosemite Sam says, quote, "Oh, no, you don't. Oh, no, you don't. Get back in your seat. The first one that tries to get out of here to warn the rabbit gets his hide blown off." Unquote. Then he turns directly at the screen, in smaller quote, quote, "and that goes for the rest of y'all," unquote. Number 10, Baton Bunny, 1959. In a similar fashion to Rhapsody Rabbit, Bugs is about to begin a musical performance when someone in the audience keeps loudly coughing. This time around, a very agitated Bugs does not choose violence, but instead holds up a sign that says, quote, "Throw the bum out," unquote, we hear the security guards shuffle in and escort the coughing person out. Oh boy. Watch Bugs Bunny and Friends on MeTV Tunes weekdays at 8 a.m. Eastern, 7 Central, 5 Pacific, 8 p.m. Eastern, 7 Central, 5 Pacific. Saturdays at 8 p.m. 7 Central, 5 Pacific, and Sunday at 12 noon, 11 Central, 9 Pacific. 9 a.m. Pacific. So, there we go. So, that's all we got for the news stories. Hopefully that second one there was proved to be fun for you guys to listen to and all that. With that being said, now of course we'll get ready to move on to the wrestling wrap up. As of course we're gonna look back to last night's SmackDown, as well, or not SmackDown, but Impact, as well as looking ahead to tonight's SmackDown, among other things, as well as looking ahead to tomorrow night's Saturday night's main event as well. So, plus we got some news for you, of course, on the WWE side of the news spectrum. Of course, it's been a bit more confirmed now that Alexa Bliss's return to Raw has been somewhat postponed due to contract issues. Still trying to, settle the I guess the WWE wanted her to come back under her old contract, but she and her people wanted, I guess, more money. Wanted to change the deal up a bit. So there's a bit of a standalone there as well. So so with that, of course, that happened. And also WWE is, of course, has shown interest aside from some of the others that we've already talked about, and like Jordan Grace and Josh Alexander from TNA. There's also talk that they also have interest in AEW's Britt Baker as well as Malachi Black. And AEW has of course indicated that Malachi Black they're not planning on bringing him back. But anyways, let me go ahead and talk about last night's Impact on Access TV, as the opening match saw Ash and Heather by Elegance teaming with Rosemary to defeat Masha Slamovich, the TNA Knockouts World Champion Masha Slamovich, and the Knockouts Tag Team Champions Spitfire of Danny Luna and Jody Threat. The key point of the match coming here, where Cora Jade came out to cost Slamovich and Spitfire the victory. The non-title tag team match, the Hardy Boys of Jeff and Matt Hardy defeated the System's JDC and TNA X Division champion Moose. Let's see. Fraxium defended and retained the NXT tag team of Axiom and Nathan Frazier. Came out and retained the NXT tag team championship over the Rascals of Trey Miguel and Zachary Wynn. I believe somebody interfered in their match too, but I can't remember off the top of my head. And then Joe Hendry defended and retained the TNA World title over Matt Cardona on last night's live edition of Impact. Now, also, of course, there were some returns last night. Mustafa Ali made his return to TNA and announced that he has now signed a contract with TNA. So, of course, he did quite a bit of work for the first half of 2024 for TNA, including being for a good chunk of that time the X Division champion, and now he has come back and it's been revealed that he has actually signed a contract with TNA. Also making her return and being revealed as the person kept showing the number 23 during PCO and Sami Callihan's matches. Steph DeLander made her return to TNA, and it was also revealed that Steph DeLander is now, after what happened at the GCW Hammerstein show where PCO basically destroyed the Digital Media Championship. It's been revealed now that Steph DeLander is now the new Digital Media Champion. So a couple returns there, and I think it was also revealed that Josh Alexander cannot, he is technically under contract with TNA still, so he cannot technically quit the company. So I think revealed that was awesome. So that's all from last night. Now, as we look ahead to tonight, we look ahead and talk about what's going to go down on tonight's SmackDown, as it were. What people can look forward to tonight's SmackDown. We look ahead to that. Airing on USA, airing from the Moody Center in Austin, Texas. At least the two matches that are already slated for tomorrow night SmackDown include the Motor City Machine Guns taking on Pretty Deadly in a tag team match, and then LA Knight taking on Tama Tonga. Now, also, we're gonna jump ahead to Saturday, to tomorrow. Okay, so today's Friday. I'm sorry. So last night, tonight, and now tomorrow. Tomorrow night, of course, WWE will be having Saturday night's main event from San Antonio, Texas. One other piece of news in regards to that too. Initially, Hulk Hogan was scheduled to be at this Saturday night main event show, coming from the Front Bank Center in San Antonio, Texas, but his appearance was apparently canceled. Now, the reason given was it was canceled due to family commitments. But there are some who believe it was canceled because the WWE just didn't want to deal with what happened when he made an appearance at the Netflix show. Show will be on NBC. Of course, commentators will be Michael Cole and Pat McAfee. And then, of course, Jesse Ventura is still slated to be there. Now, the matches that are signed for tomorrow night's Saturday night's main event include Rhea Ripley will be defending the women's world title against Nia Jax. Nia Jax coming off of her loss to Tiffany Stratton for the WWE women's title. Jacob Fatu takes on Braun Strowman in a battle of two of the big men. Braun Breaker defends the Intercontinental Champion against Sheamus, and Gunther will defend the WWE World Heavyweight title against Jey Uso. And also happening, I believe tomorrow night. Let me just double check. I think AEW will still be having their AEW will still be having their Collision. I am just double checking to make sure here. Let's see. Oh yeah, tomorrow night, AEW will be hosting their Collision event from Daly's Place in Jacksonville, Florida. It's called Homecoming 2025. Already signed for the match, a 6-man tag match in which TNT champion Daniel Garcia teams with Matt Menard and Angelo Parker. Angelo Parker making his first in-ring, basically having his first match in months. Will be taking on the Undisputed Kingdom of Adam Cole, Kyle O'Reilly, and Roderick Strong. Brody King and Buddy Matthews will be teaming up to take on the Gates of Agony of Bishop Khan and Toa Leona in what is going to be apparently moving forward now with Malachi Black confirmed gone from the company, or basically no longer being used by the company. Now they're looking to see what they'll do with King, Matthews, and Julia Hart, as King and Matthews have already kind of tried to trademark the terms Hounds of Hell and Hellhounds. So and Konosuke, and also signed for tomorrow night, Konosuke Takeshita will be defending the international title in Katsuyori Shibata, which should prove to be a very hard-hitting match. So that's all that I have for you in regards to the wrestling wrap-up. So now let's get ready to wrap things up by talking about what's today being, of course, Friday, January the 24th. Let's take a look back at this day in Nietzsche history. So 2007 and 2005. All right. So let's go ahead and. So now, first off, we're going to head back 20 years ago today, as on this date, 20 years ago, back in 2005, on the WWE held its Go Home Raw, heading into that year's Royal Rumble, held their Go Home Raw from the Ford Center in Oklahoma City, Oklahoma. The night saw Randy Orton defeat Ric Flair. The main event saw Randy Orton defeat Ric Flair, just over 14 minutes. Kane defeated Gene Snitsky and Maven in a triple threat Royal Rumble qualifying match. Mohammed Hassan defeated Val Venus in a Royal Rumble qualifying match. In a 2-on-1 handicap match, in a Royal Rumble handicap match to qualify for the Royal Rumble, Batista defeated the tag team of the Sons of Rob Conway and Sylvain Grenier. In an over-the-top Royal Rumble qualifying match, Viscera defeated Tajiri. And the show opened up with Chris Benoit, Chris Jericho, and Shawn Michaels defeating Christian, Edge, and Tyson Tomko. Setting up, of course, Shawn and Edge's matchup on Sunday as well. So that's all. And then now, moving on to 2 years later, on this date in 2017, which was 18 years ago today. On this date, 18 years ago today, back in 2007. In 2007. The 30th issue of PvP from Image Comics went on sale on this date back in 2007. Sold for $2.99, was 24 pages. On this date back in 2007, 18 years ago today, the 30th issue of PvP from Image Comics went on sale on this date back in 2007. All right. So with that, then, I thank everybody for being here tonight. I hope everybody enjoyed the show. Of course, a reminder, we'll be back here on Sunday as I'll be joined by Apex from Apex Comics. we'll be looking back at comics that went on sale in the year in April of 1940. This Sunday we'll be focusing in on Novelty Press. As we'll be looking at Target Comic. So hopefully you guys will come back then and get ready to enjoy that show. As we as with that, I thank everybody for being here tonight, and I hope to see everybody back here on Sunday. Bye.